Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today, Dwayne Taves visits with Kent Askren, Director of Public Policy for Kansas Farm Bureau. Then enjoy this week's Kansas soybean update. Next, Dwayne Taves and Aaron Popelka with the Kansas Livestock Association discuss water issues in Kansas. Then we'll hear from Angus producer and progressive partner Troy Hadrick. And we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Dwayne. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first, Dwayne Taves visits with Kent Askren, Director of Public Policy with Kansas Farm Bureau.
Dwayne Taves joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas. A chance to catch up with Kent Askren with Kansas Farm Bureau. And Kent, a lot of the work that you do has to deal with water quantity. In Kansas, that comes from a number of different options, be it groundwater, surface water, all of those of which, though, that when we think about Kansas Farm Bureau's interest, making sure that we have adequate opportunities, but fair opportunities as well for your members.
That's right, Dwayne. We're a very diverse state in terms of our water quantity supplies. Of course, in the west, we have groundwater primarily. In the east, we have surface water issues. Starting in the west, as everyone knows, we have challenges with the future of the Ogallala Aquifer, and we've worked with many stakeholders for several years now to try and establish tools that are available for folks to use and trying to reconcile some of those issues. Of course, Kansas is a very mature water state as well. So much of the state, particularly of the Ogallala, is no longer being further developed. Now we have to wrestle with the challenges of utilizing the water that is available in the most fair and equitable way. Our state is a first in time, first in right state, and that is an issue in and of itself. As we wrestle with appropriating a common resource. Some of the tools that are now available, in addition to the work that's done by our groundwater management districts, are the use of local enhanced management areas, or LEMAs. And there's a growing number of those across our state, and the size of those are growing as well. And it gives groundwater management districts, their boards, an opportunity to find a goal that is acceptable to their membership, and to implement that, knowing what the outcome will potentially be and what the effects of that will be long term.
One of the great things about those particular scenarios is that it's very local driven. It's the folks that live in with that area that make those decisions to have things happen.
It is. That is the real beauty of it from our standpoint, is that it's not a decision that was made, say, at Topeka and handed down from the top. It's a grassroots effort, which our policy, our membership are very supportive of those sorts of efforts. And so we hope to see those efforts continue to grow over our state. I think that long term there'll be tremendous benefits from those local management plans that are put into place, because the water is going to get nothing but more valuable as time goes along.
Some of the upside is that we've seen some of those things making positive impacts already, even in their early stages.
We have the Sheridan 6 LEMA, for example. The Geologic Survey data is showing us that those reductions that were made there have had a very positive impact on the aquifer levels. Of course, timing of that is critical too, because if you have a little more precipitation events, that's going to reduce the demand on the groundwater as well. So those two went pretty much hand in hand for this first cycle, but it was a very good 5 years. I believe most everyone out there would agree, and the efforts continue to not only incorporate that effort, but expand even.
Our thanks to Kent Askren with Kansas Farm Bureau joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas soybean update.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. John Heisdorfer is joining us, a producer from Iowa. He also serves as Vice President of the American Soybean Association. And John, there's been so much focus on trade, not only in regards to agreements, but in regards to how the soybean industry has been doing on trade as well.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, we, as ASA, we spent a lot of time working on TPP, and we kind of thought we had it across the finish line, and then, of course, that's all gone and done now. But I think even without some of these trade deals, we've managed to increase sales of soybeans. It's not helping right now with NAFTA. We'd like to increase that number. You know, we sold $3 billion in 2016 of soybeans to Canada and Mexico. That's a great sale, you know. And since NAFTA started, we've fourfold the amount of product that we put into those countries. So, yeah, it's tough right now. Listening to threats of pulling out, but we're still selling soybeans.
How much of it, though, has been the quality of the U.S. soybean and being a reliable customer or being a reliable supplier of U.S. soybeans to those countries in regards to trade?
Well, those things are both very important to our customers, and I think that they realize that. They know that, okay, we're not going to have to worry about something happening, something at the ports or whatever. The United States is going to furnish us those beans. If we do a contract, we're going to receive them, and they're going to be good quality beans.
It's a hard question to answer what 2018 looks like, specifically with so much of these trade agreements in limbo.
Well, we had a great crop last year. We got a good crop this year. South America had a good crop, and we still increased soybean sales. So I'm hoping that's what's going to continue to happen, and down the road we'll know more at the end of 2018, I guess.
Absolutely. John, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is John Heisdorfer. He is a soybean producer from Kyoto, Iowa, serving as the Vice President of the American Soybean Association. He joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Dwayne and Aaron Popelka with Kansas Livestock Association as they talk about water issues in Kansas.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil, and the decision continues improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Dwayne Taves and Aaron Popelka discuss water.
Dwayne Taves joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas. A chance to catch up with Aaron Popelka with Kansas Livestock Association. Aaron, we think about water issues in Kansas. Been a lot of talk the last couple of years about not only quality but quantity of water availability, and that poses some interesting issues for livestock producers.
Yeah, one of the things that has, over the last couple of years, evolved in the legislature is some water conservation tools, local enhanced management areas, water conservation areas. And so now what we see is those tools being applied in the local area on the ground. On the local enhanced management area, there's about 3 different ones that are being discussed, potentially 4 in the state. And what we've been emphasizing for agriculture or livestock component of agriculture is that we're a little different in that if you cut back a little bit of water on an acre of corn, there's ways to manage that and still come up with an acre of corn. When you cut back water to a steer, that steer requires a certain amount or he doesn't survive, and so we end up cutting capacity. And that's not good for the local grain basis. It's not good for the investment that feeder has. And so our focus has been more, how can we use the water that we do have more efficiently in the feed yard? And that tends to be looking at some of the watering systems we have, instead of the old overflow tanks that run continuously, looking at thermostats, so when it gets cold, is that way they run to keep from freezing up, maybe heated systems, and then even Kansas Livestock Association's Environmental Services has put together a water recycling system that takes the overflow, filters it, and puts it back in the system, and that's saved 10 to 15% for those operations who see value in it because they're constrained with water. So that's kind of been our focus.
We think about the water quality side. Certainly there have been a number of issues through the years. Waters of the U.S. Was one of those issues nationally that had been an issue or concern for a lot of people. But when it comes to doing the right thing, we still have done yeoman's work, if you will, in Kansas and other areas of just doing a better job of running our operations.
Yeah, I think so. And specifically in Kansas, we have a very robust state environmental regulation, and we think it's always better to work closer with the people at the state when we look at how best to design our yards and comply with rules. You mentioned Waters of the United States. We've been a big advocate of withdrawing the old rule proposed under the Obama administration. We think it interferes with state rights, is too broad, and we've participated in a process of filing comments to withdraw that and start over with a new rule. And actually, Kansas Livestock Association with our national affiliate, National Cattlemen's Beef Association, were one of the first groups to put out a proposal on how best to rewrite that rule. And what we focused on is more bright line rules that a cattleman can walk out in his pasture and say, yes, I have regulated water, I need to do X, Y, and Z, or no, I don't. And so our emphasis really and simply is, do I have a perennial water or maybe a seasonal water that's running 180 days out of the year? That's about a half a year, give or take. Just something that's really easy for someone to figure out, yeah, I'm there, or no, I'm not.
All right, thanks to Aaron Popelka, Kansas Livestock Association, joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Come back after the break for this week's Angus Report.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
This is Eric Stone Street, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
Hi, I'm Tim. This is my wife, Kat, my parents, Jerry and Linda, and my kids, Isaac and Lizzie. My parents traded their first careers to take over my mom's family farm shortly before I was born. When I graduated high school, my parents made me leave to see the world. I started on the corporate track, but soon wondered what farm life might really be like. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and this week's Angus Report.
Growing up with a commercial cow-calf herd laid the foundation. Then came collegiate meats judging and experience as one of the very first advocates. When Troy Hadrick started managing his family's Angus herd, that background solidified his goal to raise the highest quality beef possible.
Just being able to take the data that's out there that our cows are producing and the data that the Angus Association puts out there for us to use and combine those technologies and combine DNA testing and everything else to every year trying to make our beef better. And the numbers speak for themselves. We've accomplished a lot in the last couple of years where we've got 80% of our cattle grading CAB or prime. And, you know, it's something we're really proud of, but we're not done yet. You know, our goals are higher than that, and I think we'll get there. But it's just been exciting to see how fast we've been able to accomplish those.
The Hadricks were honored as 2017 Progressive Partner of the Year by the Certified Angus Beef brand this fall. Their assertive use of artificial insemination and genomic testing are examples of the forward-thinking management.
That technology allows us to use some of the best bulls in the world and bulls that are highly proven that we know are going to benefit our cows a lot. And then combining that over the last few years now with GeneMax testing and getting the DNA data and really looking into the future, if you will, a little bit of how these cattle are going to perform has just taken us to another level now.
The DNA preview allows them to manage and market cattle differently.
If we know we've got cattle that can grade really well, we want to make sure we retain ownership on them and market them on a grid. And it also helps us when we're deciding which females we're going to keep as replacements in our herd. And we know every cow we're putting back into the herd now is going to do a tremendous job for us.
The rancher says he relies on a team of experts to help him make decisions and avoid pitfalls.
We've only got so many years in the cow business, and so I don't want to make any of those mistakes. So having people that I know are experts in their field with animal health, animal nutrition, genetics, marketing, I want to ask them lots of questions and try and get as much information I can so I make the best possible decision.
Then he'll share what he knows with other cattlemen and continue building knowledge and bridges. Progressive indeed. I'm Bob Cervera.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. The wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. He said, well, I have to do surgery. I farm and ranch by myself. It's not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Dwayne are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Dwayne Taves.
Kyle Bauer, your fact or fiction question of the day. In spite of urban legend, the 10-gallon hat only holds about 3/4 of a gallon of water.
Oh, that's true.
Fact or fiction?
That's true.
I couldn't believe that was even in the book.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my gosh, can you imagine a real 10-gallon hat? 2 5-gallon buckets?
That'd be a big sombrero.
That'd be a big around and real tall, yeah.
I don't know how it ever could have gotten the name 10-gallon hat.
I don't know either.
Considering that's such a misnomer.
I don't know anybody that even wears one.
I think they.
I mean, it's just the ones with the high
it's just got a
on
higher crown, I believe.
Not
it's
the crown's just a little top thing in the top, isn't it?
Well, that's the crease that you put in the crown.
Oh, that's the crease in the crown.
Yeah.
You're a hat guy.
Well,
appears so.
Kind of.
You know your hat parts anyway.
The coolest Hatman Jack. Not to give a commercial, but that's a individual out there.
Okay.
Hat maker.
Okay.
A couple of different.
How come I've never seen this Hatman Jack?
Well,
have I?
No, I don't think you
I don't
probably
think
have.
either.
Otherwise, you'd have recognized it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they ever would have called it a 10-gallon. Even when they had the stovepipe hats of the early colonial times.
But those look like a stovepipe.
Right, but they certainly wouldn't have held 10 gallons of water.
Oh, no, they might have held a gallon, maybe. It's about like a gallon can up there. I remember when I bought my first good hat, went to the guy selling them, and I said, okay, I'm generally dressed the way I'm dressed right now.
What works?
My skin is about the same color now.
I'm always this color.
Yeah. My hair's about always this color. Which hat do you want? He just immediately said, you want that one right there.
Right.
And it was like, and you know what? I have gotten a ton of compliments on that
Respect
hat, too.
the guy that it's his business.
Yeah, you know what? We all need to do that. You know, if he's the heating and air conditioning guy, and he said, you know, you really oughta, you know what? You really oughta.
You probably oughta.
Yeah, I mean,
you might
he
not like
sees
the
a lot of
price,
that.
but he's probably telling you what you need.
Yeah, you know, this whole building was designed by vendors. And it was amazing how much money we saved. Basically, the HVAC guy got to design the HVAC. The electrical guy did that. The carpeting people, even, they had, every room in this building has a 12-foot dimension. So that because all carpet is 12 foot wide.
Right.
And then when you have a 12-foot dimension, all your ceiling tiles are the right width,
fit
too.
the right way as well.
So anyway, we had to bring it in on a low budget. And that made a huge difference. When you just ask the people who do it all the time, what do you think?
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.